Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 504, recorded on November 21st, 2024. On this week's episode, we discuss the Game Award nominees. Nintendo has some amazing cyber deals that you should be aware of, your questions, and so much more. Jesse, cue the music.
What's up, everybody? Marty here with Nintendo Dads. It is episode 504 on November the 21st, 2024, just a week away from Turkey Day here in the United States. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means for the show next week here in a little bit. But joining me on the show this week, I'm excited. It's like a OG Nintendo Dads 2.0, right? Like, it's the 2.0 iteration, I guess. And we want to say, I'm not overjoyed because we're missing Tim tonight. Tim couldn't be here on the show, and we loved him, and we hate that he couldn't make it. But joining me on the show tonight are the OG Dads, Justin Masson and Jesse Waldack. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing good. With my class is almost wrapping up, so I'm kind of looking forward to that to be over. Our lectures are pretty much done, so like next week, obviously no class on Thursday, but Tuesday they said is lab only. So he kind of hinted, if you don't need to be here, don't bother being here. So I'm like, oh sweet, I'm gonna take a week off.
Nice. Weeks off are always great. I get a week off of school next week, and hey, after that, it's just 1 week. And that's it for this semester. Big projects are turned in. All I got to do is take finals. It's going to be great. Be enjoying about a month of downtime before the next last semester.
I still have to finish the write-up for my last lab and turn it in. But after that, it's just quiz and final and that.
Fantastic.
Done.
Love it. Justin, how you doing, big boy?
I'm doing well. How about you guys? Doing all right? Yeah.
It's been a busy week, but it's been a good week.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to. We're going to go do some Christmas shopping tomorrow. A little date day with my wife. I'm excited about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you go with a plan? Like you've got the list, you know what you're doing, you know where you're going?
Not exactly. Usually, yes, but this time we're using our credit from the Great McKay's road trip. In July. So it's basically whatever's there.
Okay.
I'm looking for a big purchase. You know, last time when I went there, they actually had a Super Famicom.
Ooh.
But it was all yellowed out and gross.
Yeah.
So I almost picked it up, but I decided against it. I'm anxious to see what's there tomorrow.
Okay. Gotcha. So very exciting.
May come home with some kind of video game console tomorrow.
Very cool. Very cool.
But you're doing good. Life's good.
Yeah, life's good. Life's busy. I mean, sure, look at it as it always is. Getting my daughter's got a not Christmas concert. She's in a school play, which is actively into rehearsal, and so that goes the first week in December. So we're hosting everyone and their dog for like several days as people come down to visit to see the show to support. So
that's awesome.
Lots of wind up around that. And so it's going all right though. And then of course, next week's Turkey Day for you US folks. So that's fun because as a Canadian who works for an American company and has lots of friends in the US, man, it's real quiet for me on Thursday, Friday.
And you get the day off,
quiet.
Right?
I don't, not anymore. They changed some stuff. It's grand. It's fine. Whatever. It's literally like the quietest day of the office for me for 2 days. I do like all the compliance stuff and the year-end stuff and all that kind of easy peasy work, but it's kind of funny to watch. So
cool. Love it.
Yeah.
And speaking of, I said we'd mention this later on the show, but probably a good place to do it. There will be an episode of Nintendo Dads next week. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll do a solo episode. Now, I'm not going to do the solo episode live because we've actually got some stuff going on that night that I can't be live for. I've got to attend a parent meeting. So I'll do an early episode probably Wednesday night or something. I'll record something. We'll put up with a podcast feed. So it will be an episode. We'll continue our march forward. It'll be a solo show. And, it's usually, you never know what I'm going to rant about. right? If it's a light week, which typically, by the way, from a Nintendo perspective, it usually is around this time. They don't have a lot of new, exciting news. So typically, I may just go on a rant about stuff. Give me topics. Community, shoot me topics. Like, what do you want me to talk about
Love it.
during that time? Justin's hot takes on video games, on Nintendo. Like, what do you want? I got you. We can talk about poutine. We can do a whole like me tasting different poutines. We can talk about whatever you want. All
That
right,
really
I'm
just
here
sounds like
for
an
it.
excuse for you to eat poutine.
And charge it back to the company. 100% it is. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm
Well,
not. You've seen
here's
my
the
expense
deal.
report.
There will be an episode next week. But if you are looking for something on Thursday night to get you through your tryptophan induced haze,
Mm,
there will be Nintendo Dad's content that is live next week. As we will be going into our Extra Life
that's
2024.
right.
And so Tim and I are at the helm this year for Extra Life. I am going to go first. I will begin at 10 p.m. Central on the night of Thanksgiving. So if you're out Black Friday shopping and you just want something in your ear, hey, you can watch because what I'm doing is this year it's all retro. All right.
Ooh,
So anything
nice.
NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, all kinds of things like that. I may even get my Wii U over here from the other side of the house, hook up and dive into some TurboGrafx stuff, because I booted it up the other day just because you need to boot the Wii U up every now and then because apparently it's a thing,
Yeah.
and just make sure that it still works. So we'll play some of that. So everything from there. 10 p.m. on the 28th through 10 p.m. on the 29th. And at 10 p.m. on the 29th, Tim will take over for an extra 24 hours. So there will be a 48
48
hour
hours.
Extra Life live stream for you guys to help participate in. And of course, we're raising our goal as we always do for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. Tim, you can go to our, he's got it set up. It's easy for you to go to nintendodads.org and click on Extra Life there, and you can see our team. You can see all of our team members, and we're currently celebrating or accepting donations right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
I got my first donation of $75 tonight toward my $2,000 goal. Would love to have your help in meeting that goal next week. So, again, just a recap if you fell asleep during this, no live show next week, but Extra Life will be live at 10 p.m. Central. And so that you can follow along there. And look, I know it's late, and that's going to be a lot of like during the working hour the next day, but I would love for you to just have it on in the background. Just let me know you're there because, man, that 24-hour stretch it gets
Mm-hmm.
long. All right. Who knows? You may see my son some during some of that because my bed is now right there, like right back here. And so I may go take a nap for a little bit and let him play.
And we've all done that on streams before. I remember a couple of years ago, I had the girls in my office, and there's a bed right beside here, and I went and had like a 10-minute power nap while they
Yep.
played something.
And then there was the year we were playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and we just fell asleep on stream, or I did.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's 100%
as
true.
so your donations help keep us awake. We're going to have some snacks. We're going to have a good time, just playing some retro games and enjoying uh, raising money. And so we hope you'll participate. There are prizes that are going to be given away during that time. Over $200
What?
worth of stuff that we're going to be giving away from Nintendo Dads and anything else that we can find as well. So we would hope that you'll tune in. Everybody who donates will get their name thrown in to win a prize, and you'll just help things be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, before we jump forward, I want to call out our Twitch chat. Of course, we're live streaming every single Thursday when we're here. We got some amazing folks over in our chat, Twitch, YouTube, watching us live on Facebook, and of course on Twitter. I'm never gonna call it X. Don't even start with me. All right. Ebicel, I'm gonna call you out. Right. I'm gonna see the statement here. Ebicel asks for a topic: why Canada is the third rated country on the continent. I will stab you with that kind of comment. Beer Savasa says, I want to see Mike Tyson's Punch Out to redeem last week's pitiful fight.
Oh yeah,
Nothing
we'll
wrong with
definitely play
that.
some Punch Out.
Yeah, for sure. Newfoundland should have remained independent. Yeah, we can talk about that for sure. Justin plays Skin to Win. Justin should do Just Dance games on the Switch. Playthrough of all the Just Dance games. Hey, if you remember, actually for Extra Life, and it's on our footage, Ninfrendo, you can look it up on our YouTube channel. One of the goals was that I did a dance along to Just Dance with my daughters, and so I think it would have been 2018 or 29. I think it was 2018. There is video footage on Nintendo Dads of me dancing with the kids to some Taylor Swift song.
Yep.
And it's pretty rot footage. I'll tell you that right now. It is not pretty to look at. But listen, we do it for the sweet, wonderful, beautiful children, right? And that's why we do Extra Life. And
Everything.
so,
It's for the children.
for the kids, it's all for the children.
Kids. Yeah, and really, yeah. I mean, that's why we stay up super late. That's
Mhm.
why we do the overnight stream. It's not because we're just like, oh yeah, hey, just really want to stay up for 24 hours.
Ebicel's walking back his comments now. He's like, Justin, I was just kidding. I was just kidding,
Yep.
Justin.
That's how it
I see
happens.
that.
That's
I
how it
see that.
happens.
You
Well-
get called out on Twitch, and you're just going to start walking
Yep.
stuff back.
Well,
Love
here's
you,
what's about
Ebicel.
to happen. We're about to talk about the smattering of news that we have this
do
week.
it.
So, Jesse, hit that button. Our news is, of course, brought to us each and every week by you guys over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you get to be a part of the greatest community on the internet. You get access to the Discord, which, by the way, is full access to the Discord because Tim pushed the wrong buttons and he doesn't want to change it back, at least till the end of the year. And then you know, if you want to go a little further in, you can get the $5. Get you the full slate of channels when Tim decides to change it back. $10 gets you pre and post show audio, and then $30 you become a patron of the show, or you become a producer of the show. You're already a patron. You become a producer of the show. You get to come on the show, get to hang out with us, get to suggest topics, and you also get jewels in your crown. So yeah, it just helps things out over here. It helps us do things like
Mhm.
we announced a few weeks ago in episode 500, like going to PAX East
Yep.
next year in May. So we're going to have a big time doing that, and we get to do that because you guys help us do stuff like that by your patronage. And so
Yep.
it helps, buy games for us when we need to. It helps us get the supplies we need to make the show. And we appreciate each and every one of you. If you're a Twitch and Amazon person, if you've got Amazon Prime, you get a free Twitch Prime subscription every month. We would love for you to throw us that way, or throw it our way too. That also gets you into the Discord. So just thanks guys for your support. You
Yeah.
also get an ad-free podcast feed, access to the dinner table every third Friday of the month, and random prizes and giveaways like we gave away a Switch Lite a few months ago. Just because we can, because we love you.
Yep.
So there you go. All right. Head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. Sign up today. And if you do, listen, if you do a whole year, we give you a month free because we love you. There you go. All right, let's talk some news and headlines. The Game Awards 2024 is coming up December 12th, and nominees were announced this week. A little bit controversial in a couple of areas. Number one being the allowance of DLC and remastered and remade games as full games. And also the fact that I guess the second kind of scandalous thing, if you want to call it that, or point of drama, is that Nintendo was completely shut out of the Game of the Year category again.
Is that scandalous?
Nah.
Okay, well let's have a real honest conversation. Should they have been in the Game of the Year
Sure.
Should they what should have been there?
Sure.
What should have been there? What game?
I think that Echoes of Wisdom could have been there.
Okay,
I'll
argue that.
I think that Brothership could be there.
I won't argue that.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll have words about that then. I'm saying it could be. It could be.
It could be. But is it better than what's there? Like, what would you remove? Because I think these are some pretty big games. Let's talk about the Game of the Year.
Game of the Year category right now, nominees Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, which is DLC, Final
Hmm.
Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is a full game, and Metaphor Refantasio, whatever
Yep.
you call that is. Okay. Um, Number one, I love Balatro, but it's a card game.
So,
So
so, so, so,
Mario
so
and
I love,
Luigi
I
could
love,
be,
I love
hey,
Mario and
listen,
Luigi, but it's a video game. Like
okay,
they're all
so
video games.
but that's what I'm saying. For the same reason, Balatro could be there, so could Brothership. For
So
the same
you
reason that Balatro could be there, so could Echoes of Wisdom.
okay? So hold on. Your argument is we remove
No, I'm saying
Baltro.
you can remove any of them. Balatro was just the one I pick on, and I picked on it because I like that game, and I do
Right.
think that it should be considered for Game of the Year. I do, but
I
it's really
okay.
hard to
You
have it.
okay? Let me
Let
let
me
me
just
ask you
say
this
this:
question. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really hard to have a Game of the Year. It's hard to have a Game of the Year conversation when the all of the big three, quote unquote, are not represented.
But should the big three be represented? Like, if all the games that came out this year, and again, remember, Jeff Keighley isn't the one who selected them. Jeff Keighley put it out to his nomination committee. The
Mhm.
nomination committee said, "Here are the games." So let's just be clear on this one, right? But like, whose fault is it that Xbox games aren't on there? Whose fault is it that Nintendo games aren't on there? Like the fact that yes, most of these games come from Sony right now, right? Like if it like I feel like that's unfair if they're like, listen, we have six for Game of the Year, so Nintendo you get two, Sony you get two, and by the way, Xbox you get two, right? But what about all the indie games? Where do all those fall? The multi-platform games, right? The argument is you've got to find the six best games of the year. Do you think? And
Okay.
like, let's just move down the line a little bit here, Marty, because you've played Astrobot.
Mhm.
Is Echoes of Wisdom better than Astrobot?
It's on par with Astrobot
You have to
because
choose one.
because why?
No, no, like this is the test going down the line. Is it better than Astrobot?
Uh, I would not choose it over Astrobot.
Okay, so Astrobot stays, right? So, what else have you played on this list? That's probably it, right? Or Baltro?
Balatro. I've
Yeah.
played.
Okay.
I've not played any of the others, so
Okay.
I can't speak to them. But I would say this: that
Yeah.
preference wise, I would replace a DLC with a full game.
Now that's an argument we can have, right? That's an argument that's sort of like I'm
And I'm
okay to
saying
sit
that
in.
preference wise, and I know there's already some people who's like, "Oh no, Elden Ring, Archery is the best thing I've ever played," but it's DLC. And so, and I get it. Like DLC can add like a whole nother game to a game, but it's still download. It's still an addition. It's still an addition,
I would
not
agree
a
with
full game.
Yeah, I'd agree with you that I think that there should be a best DLC category,
Yes.
right? Because we do have best games as a service category. I think best DLC makes logical sense. So in
So if
theory, you
so,
could have a game that could have got its flowers last year, right? Like Elden Ring, right? And the DLC is in another category.
so can I
That
ask
I'm
you?
okay
Can
with.
I ask you this then? Is if a game is in best DLC, are you in agreement that it could not be in Game of the Year?
Okay, so
Like if Shadow of the Erd Tree is in best DLC, and we
yes,
acknowledge that it's downloadable content, then it cannot be up for Game
yes.
of the Year.
Well, yeah, because the argument of it would be the game of the year would be the game, like the game of the year is the game of the year. Elden Ring, right, came out the prior year, right? Did it not?
Elden Ring was
Elden Ring was in the 2023 Game
I
Awards.
think it was last year. Yeah.
So Elden Ring
came out in
would
2022. Yeah,
okay, so
Oh, 2 years ago.
Elden Ring was
Okay.
already categorized in that spot. So what I'm saying, because Game of the Year should literally be the game within this year. Now, you could have a base game announced or launched in. Okay, let's use this as a scenario. Here we go. All right. Prince of Persia has been named Game of the Year, The Lost Crown.
okay.
That could be a Game of the Year contender because that's the base game. The DLC, the mask, blah, 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 whatever it is, that could be in its separate category of
hmm
DLC. So the base game could be Game of the Year. The DLC could be in its own
But
category.
once a base game is Game of the Year, it cannot repeat again for Game of the Year for DLC.
No, correct. Correct. Yes.
I'm
So
in agreement with that. And
yeah,
Justin, hear me when I say this. Like, I'm not saying that it's in any way that any of these games don't need to be in that Game of the Year category. Because I know people who loved each and every one of these games. Like I have a friend who's raved about ReFantazio, right?
yeah.
Like, oh, you got to play it, you got to try it. I don't have time for that game right now. So my personal preference, I don't really know, is coming into that. I'm disappointed that Nintendo is not represented in that Game of the Year category. I do think that Echoes of Wisdom stands up as a Game of the Year contender. But I think when you look at that list, um, now if you go back and let me say it like this, what am I trying to say? If you look at the list of Nintendo's releases this year, it is worth admitting that there's probably not a lot of them that are Game of the Year contenders.
I
Now,
believe I believe if you are looking at Nintendo's catalog for 2024,
mhm.
the only game that could possibly have been in that category would be Echoes of Wisdom,
So
in my opinion.
okay, so and that's a fair opinion, and I mean, it's valid opinion. And I'm probably looking at this list right now as I am. I probably share that opinion. There's a lot of remakes. There's a lot of stuff that like made some ripples in the water, but not much. My question would be is why was it left off of this list? Why can that list for Game of the Year not be longer? Because some
Well,
of these are not as long.
that's probably a question in its own. It's always had been 6 games since the start, as far as I
Okay.
remember.
But then
But
all the others are 5.
yeah, well, some of them are 6 too, but most of them are 5. But you know, on the whole, I kind of agree that I don't think there's any of the big 3 Nintendo games of the year, including Showtime, that's
Mm,
not. But
no.
I don't. I think Balatro is probably the lowest of the 6, and if it get bumped, then maybe Zelda. But really, I don't think. I think in whole, these games are better than the Nintendo games this year, and I'm a kind
They,
of, and
they
I
are.
understand, and
They
I'm
are.
okay with. Yeah, just because Nintendo puts out games doesn't mean they're guaranteed a slot, and I'm okay.
No, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think it's telling both ways, right? I mean, the game, like, I don't think it's any secret that the Game Awards has never been exactly Nintendo friendly.
Oh,
It's
right,
been like
definitely
it's
hasn't.
been like the
Uh,
scraps, like they get the scraps. But the on the other hand, it like, and Justin's gonna, whatever. It's the Switch is way past shelf date.
Yep. 100%.
So it's telling both ways. Like, I mean, obviously, and I think, well, and maybe even the third way that we can interpret this is Nintendo, obviously what they're doing is putting their energy into whatever they hope will be Game of the Year on the next thing. That's where the major
yeah. Oh,
creative
yeah.
energy
Well,
and development
Obviously, they've
energy
been
is
focusing their
going.
So
energies on their successor. So, yeah.
I'll make a couple counters. So first and foremost, I'm going to call this out. So the chat is calling out a couple things. Mikey Burgett says we don't even know who the nominating committee is. Ninfrendo asks who makes up the
Well,
panel of
we
judges. If you go to the
kind of do.
GameAwards.com, if you go to the GameAwards.com, there is a bottom section where it actually says who the jury is. And nominations of the Game Awards are selected by a voting jury of 100 leading media and influencer outlets across the globe. That include outlets such as Easy Allies, Entertainment Weekly, IGN, Kinda
Yeah.
Funny, MinMax,
Yeah.
Polygon. So
And I
you can,
expressed my opinion about modern journalism last week, and I'll stop
yeah,
there.
and that's fine. Like, but you can also go through like there are literally via specific countries as well. So in Canada it's CBC, it is the CG magazine, it's Mobile Syrup, it's Screen Rant. Like, so there is a large amount of voting that goes to it. Let me say this. Um, when Nintendo is making a game, they are not saying, I want to make this game to win a game award. right? So I don't think that's a correlation of like, hey, I think what the reality is that was a strong year for video games, which by the way is a good thing for us as video game consumers. And it was a competitive year. And this is, and to no shock, a quieter year from Nintendo, right? Here's the deal that I would say is that like if this was last year and Tears of the Kingdom wasn't on this list, that's where I'd be like, wow, okay, now I'm shocked, right? But I think like even as you look at some of the like just look at some of the overall scores of these games through Metacritic, through OpenCritic, like all of that, like Echoes of Wisdom did very well. Yes. Did it move the needle as high as some of these other ones? Not necessarily. It was like, and to your point, Marty, if we open this up to being 10 nominations, it's probably number 7. But really, all that really matters is number 1, which means there's only going to be one winner, right? And I don't think in this category, Nintendo Echoes of Wisdom will win this category up against whatever it's at. It's not going to win, unfortunately. It's not as strong as some of these other games. I think Astrobot will likely take away with it. Astrobot sort of took the Nintendo slot, right? The family-friendly game category, which we typically see housed by Nintendo, was taken by PlayStation this year with a Mario clone, essentially, and they did an amazing job with that. Like, celebrate that. That's awesome, because if Astrobot's good, then hopefully Mario becomes better in regards to competition. What I will say regarding Nintendo and the Game Awards is, to the point that sort of was made, is that like Nintendo has sort of this I wouldn't say turbulent, but tough to define relationship with the Game Awards over the last several years. And I think prior to Reggie's departure as president, I think there was a stronger relationship with the Game Awards, and this is where we saw Joker's big reveal. Obviously, it's for Smash. So Nintendo has made some announcements, but here's what's not going to happen. So like, you can take this off your bingo card. The Switch 2 is not being announced at the Video Game Awards. Like, don't even consider that happening. What's going to inevitably happen is that we're probably going to get some indie world premiere. And it's going to be an indie game or something that is going to come to the Switch. Or maybe we might see something sort of a couple of years ago, like we saw for Bayonetta. Oh
Bayonetta
my gosh.
3.
No, yeah, Bayonetta 3 was there, but there's the other one recently. Origins, right? Where these so it's not like a huge title, but a title that will draw your attention and get you moving somewhere. I don't, and I know that people are gonna like yell at me for this one. Like I do not suspect you're going to get a Metroid Prime trailer, right? And you're going to get a reveal date for Metroid Prime 4 at the VGAs. That's not going to happen. I highly doubt that. And I know people are like, well, the website just went up. I just don't think this was as strong of a year for Nintendo. Like, just to be real fans, it wasn't as strong as it could have been, and it didn't need to be. They're winding down, right? Like, this is kind of what we're expecting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those are my statements about it. I do believe DLC needs to have its own category, though.
I do too, and it doesn't make much sense. I mean, because if you're
also
let
remember
DLC
that we allow DLC in our own lists. When we
so we need to change that then. If we want to avoid being hypocritical, then we need to change that. So I'll stand on that. But anyway, good. Thank you for keeping us honest, Jesse, on that. So let's run down
every time, and I've been listening to the arguments all week about that, and of course that was always in the back of my head. We've always allowed it. I don't see the problem.
Yep.
I don't know. I do and I don't.
So let's call out Nintendo specific games in categories.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to run down through here. Yep. So game of the year, and these are not Nintendo specific. These are games that have appeared on a Nintendo system. Yep. So it could be a third party. It could be an indie. So game of the year, Balatro. Best game direction, Balatro. Best art direction, Neva. Then you skip down a few. Innovation and accessibility, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Games for impact, 3 are here: Neva, Life is Strange Double Exposure, and Tales of Kenzera Zhao. Best ongoing, Fortnite, which is nominated every year pretty much. Best community support, Fortnite and No Man's Sky. Best independent game, we've got 4 here: Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, and Neva.
I will also
Be-
say the other game that's listed that I want to pause there is a game called UFO 50. And if you like, I cannot wait to hear when UFO 50 comes to
I'm
Nintendo Switch.
surprised that it wasn't on the Switch.
I was shocked as well. It's got to be coming. This is, by the way, UFO 50 is
Yeah.
from the dev team who did Spelunky, by the way.
So
So this game is definitely
I-
coming. I just don't know when.
I looked up Metacritic best rated games of the year. UFO 50 is number 5.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Animal
looks,
Well is number 6.
it looks like it fits right at home in regards to being on the Switch. I wouldn't actually be shocked if we end up seeing like some of these games will be like UFO 50 might be like, hey, an update's out today, and then be like, and coming to the Nintendo Switch next week.
Or
So
if
there is
it's,
some of that.
if it's the thing that's announced at this, like you
Yeah,
were
it could
saying, an
be.
indie
Yeah.
game.
Could
Yeah.
be it could shadow drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Best best debut indie game, Animal Well, Balatro, and the Plucky Squire. Moving on down a little bit, best action adventure, The Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, and Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. So it's not that's not being represented at all, but is it an action adventure game? I guess it is. Anyway,
I think that's sort of like the where it'll get its flowers, right?
I hope so,
I
'cause
think
it's
like
incredible.
I think Astrobot won't win, and this one I think Astrobot will win Game of the Year. I don't think Prince
I
of
hope
Persia is
so.
going to win. Silent Hill I don't think is going to win. Star Wars Outlaw I doubt. I think that's where Zelda's going to get it right there.
Yeah. Or, well, there's another category. Best fighting game, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, Arcade Classics. Then best family. This is where I think Echoes of Wisdom might win. Princess Peach Showtime, Super Mario Jamboree, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, and The Plucky Squire are all up against Astrobot. Astrobot may win that one too. Who knows?
And this is the category. The best family category is the one we used to call the Nintendo category.
But Astrobot's
right?
there.
Astrobot could very well come in like a wrecking ball.
And
here,
honestly, I'm gonna say this on this show because I know our game of the year lists are coming up. Astrobot is going to be very high on my list of games of the year.
Nice.
It's incredible. Like it deserves every bit of the praise that it gets.
Nice.
So I can't be mad about that. Best sim strategy, Unicorn Overlord is up for that. Best sports / racing, EA Sports FC 25 and NBA 2K 25. Best multiplayer, Super Mario Party Jamboree. Most anticipated game, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And then that's about it.
Content Creator of the Year, Nintendo Dads. I can't believe that. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Totally forgot that one.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I mean, right? By the way, Queso's going to win that. Y'all know that.
Isn't Queso just like a type of chip dip?
And this guy.
Yeah, okay. I honestly have not heard of any of these guys.
The most
I
anticipated
Queso because my kids watching.
The most anticipated game category, like it's going to go to Grand Theft Auto. There's no way it's not going to.
Absolutely.
So if the Switch successor was on that list, it would have a chance.
Right. Yeah, most anticipated thing to talk about in 2025.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I do want to call Ninfrendo asks in the chat, and I guess this is probably the question he's asking is Hollow Knight. Do we think we're going to hear Hollow Knight at the Game Awards?
I'm going to make a prediction here. Silk Song is no longer coming to the Switch.
Well, it was coming to a lot of other consoles, though, too. Like Xbox was coming too.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean,
They remember they announced it like, oh, it's coming in the next 12 months. Everyone's like, what? And it never did.
And that was 2 years ago. Yeah, I don't see that coming. I don't see that announced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our thoughts on the Game Awards. Of course, we'll probably be watching it and telling you what we think about it later on in December as well. However, let's move on. Let's talk about a couple of other things. One thing we wanted to mention to you guys, because we love you and we want you to save money, is that there is a massive eShop sale going on right now. I believe in the United States for sure. I don't know that it is elsewhere.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. So we just want you to be aware. Check the eShop because there are some insane deals right now. If you've waited on some games, we just, of course, the best place you can go look for this, the resource we use is a website called Deku Deals. That's DEKU deals.com. And you can search there by eShop sales, and you should be able to look through just some ones that I'm seeing right now that I think you should be aware of. These are games that I would recommend that are dirt cheap right now. The Portal Companion Collection is $5 right now. It's 75% off on Switch. Steam World Quest is $2.49. Rayman Legends Definitive Edition is $7.99. The Messenger is $4.99. Loop Hero $4.49. Doom Eternal at $10. And Doom before it at $7.99. You've also got It Takes Two at $15.99, 60% off. Enter the Gungeon, guys. I hadn't talked about Enter the Gungeon in a long time.
Wow, that's a throwback.
$4.49. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection at 1979. Anything you guys want to highlight there?
I would call out one of the games that will definitely be in my game of the year contendership, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Right, I've talked about that since January when it came out.
Yep.
It's had several free updates, and now there's a DLC, and it looks like it's like less than $20 right now digitally. This is an awesome game. It will be in my top 3 game of the years. I know that for sure. If you haven't played it, recommend picking it up. Fao Shao.
Okay. Jesse, anything that you got?
Um, I really haven't had a chance to look at the list.
I
So,
got you. I understand. Just a couple more. I would say Square Enix games right now on massive discount as well. Most of those are 60% off if you're looking to pick up some Final Fantasy games, 7 and up. The Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection is also 67% off at $10. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, the complete edition, $4.89. You guys are all smart, intelligent people. You can go search the eShop for yourself. I'm just telling you, there are tons of deals out there right now. This is a great time to be able to if you've been saving up your coins, if you've got an eShop card that you've been trying to figure out what you're going to spend it on. And one more I want to highlight here: the excellent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection
Yeah.
is $15.99 right now. It's 60% off. So, guys, these are not just like, be sure to go in there and check it out. Not a whole, like, these are not just like obscure indie games right now. These are deals on like, triple
Well,
A games, well-known
yeah,
indies.
Nintendo. Yeah, I mean Nintendo's. I mean, if you haven't, Tears of the Kingdom is 28% off.
Yeah,
Right, you've got Super Mario Maker 2 20 or 33% off. Right, so these
yeah.
Disney's Illusion Island, Unicorn Overlord is 40% off. And again, actually, this may not equal exactly to yours. I'm looking at the Canadian
A
store
Hat
right
in
now.
Time is $14.99. And this is one that I would point out too, because we've been hearing rumblings about it being delisted, and that is Sega Genesis Classics Collection. Right now, $8.99 on the
Yeah.
eShop. That is going to be delisted very soon. So don't cry and say we didn't know when we did. It's go get it. And Justin, was it you that had really good things to say about the Stanley Parable?
I've played it. Yeah, I did enjoy it. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
12
So
12.49 right now on
yeah.
the eShop.
Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, right? I have that down as 67% off right now. Again, I'm looking at the
Yep.
Canadian eShop. So yeah, there's you know what? Shoot, Epic Mickey Rebrush that came out recently. By the way, hey, you want to play some Xenoblades with us? That's 30% off.
Mm,
Right.
yep.
Red Dead Redemption. I'm just gonna scroll through here some
Man,
other
there
things to call
there's
out.
so much good
Yeah.
on here.
I
You
I
could get
use
stuff to be playing for the next 6 months.
Oh yeah, I use the wish list category a lot, and like if I go to my wish list right now, I've got 3 games in there. I've got Little Kitty Big City, Power Wash Simulator, and Berserk Boy. Both Power Wash Simulator and Berserk Boy are 30% off. Right?
Justin,
So
will you just go pull the trigger on that game right now for me?
Berserk
Would you
Boy,
do no Power Wash
Power
Simulator,
Wash Simulator.
please? Would you do me a favor and get it? Actually, can I tell you something right now? Can I give you a little
What's that?
hint?
Sure.
Don't buy it at the Nintendo eShop. Deku Deals is reporting right now it is 14.99 at Amazon.com, which is $3 cheaper.
Really? Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I gotta look at the Canadian
Yeah, well,
one,
okay.
right?
But
Like
I'm just
that's
saying you may want your mileage may vary. Check it
yeah.
out.
Okay. All right.
And
All
that's a
right.
digital code too. So anyway,
Really?
uh do yourself like that is
I
it's the most chill zen game you will ever
I
play.
know. I did the future Back to the Future one when I was in PAX West.
Mm,
Um,
there you
Speaking
go.
of, and we've talked obviously about some amazing game deals as well. I would also be remiss if you didn't look at like some of the incredible Black Friday deals for some of our folks that we've worked with in the past, like Power A has got some great deals on their accessories as they normally do as well. Check that out. We're big
Mhm.
fans of Elgato products here at Nintendo Dad's HQ. We've got
Yep.
microphones, cameras, the Stream Decks, kind of all Elgato products. They're about 30% off right now. A lot of their products are. So typically they don't typically go on sale, but if you're looking to maybe stretch out or build your own streaming setup, now would be a great time to maybe pull the trigger on some of that. By the way, these are not ads. We aren't getting paid for any of these
No,
things,
no.
but just like this is
On
typically the
our
time.
one of the items on my gift guide this year is the cracked Nitro Deck Plus. It's on
Mm-hmm.
sale for $20 off right now.
Okay.
The whole cracked website, that's crkd.gg. Free shipping over $25 and save up to 40% on all their products right now for their Black Friday sale. And that includes the Nitro Deck, the Neo S controller, the Atom controllers, all that. So
I
all
gotta
high quality products. Y'all go check it out.
I gotta see if the cracked I want to see if the listen, I was looking at those cracked controllers as well. But they were so expensive to ship into Canada that I actually went to Amazon and had looked at them
Mm-hmm.
there. I wonder if they're on
Mm-hmm.
sale on Amazon now.
Maybe so. Who knows? Anyway,
Maybe.
this is in addition to sales that will be at retailers on Black Friday, and I know a lot this year, at least here in the States, a lot of retailers are not revealing a lot of those deals until Black Friday. I'm sure that's to drive people to their site. I know Walmart has got things that they're not allowing people to even look at until the 25th. You have to be a Walmart Plus subscriber to get at those. So you may want to check for those, but also lots of stores already doing pre-Black Friday sales that are just as good as what they're going to sell on Black Friday. So uh, go out there and get yourself some digital games. And speaking of prices, Justin, let's talk
Yeah.
about this. Maybe me and you've got a bone to pick with our favorite ongoing multiplayer game, Fortnite. So
Yippers.
Fortnite has recently, they've been in their remix season, as Chapter 5 ended, and now heading to Chapter 6. They've remixed Chapter 2 into a shortened 30-day season like they did with Chapter 1. But they've also made some recent news by saying, they're going to bring back the OG Season 1 permanently. They're going to, and one of the things they're doing is they're going to include the Rocket Pass and the Lego Pass in the Battle Pass every month or whenever you do it, so that you earn all of those rewards for one price. But they're also increasing the price of the Battle Pass. This was came out tonight that the price of the Battle Pass will be going up 50 V-Bucks from 950, which it's been for literally forever, to 1,000. But then they're also lowering the price of the 25 level Battle Pass reward from 1850 to 1800. So obviously, this is probably to help cover some of the costs, included with putting all of these battle passes in your things where you're eventually, before it was you can buy the Lego pass and it's 14.99. You can buy the music pass and it's 14.99. Now all of that will be included. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think a couple things. I think probably to me, this actually indicates that the Lego Pass, the Music Pass, are probably not getting the value add or they're not getting the people driving to that space that Fortnite was originally hoping to. And so to having them as their own separate is not worth the energy. And so if you can kind of create like the ultimate pass, which is sort of essentially what this is, then you as a user may more feel more invested in that ecosystem and more likely to spend time in that ecosystem, whether it's now over the Lego or whether over it's over the music. And if you're there playing in that area right now that it's kind of all included, then you might happen to drop a little bit more money on other things as well, right? I think this is people aren't coming in the door, so let's make sure people come in the door to give them increase the value so they feel like they get more. But by the way, once they're in the door, they're more likely to actually spend more. And so I think
So
strategically, consumer wise, that's the behavior that they're trying to induce.
yeah.
I think the thing that I've always talked about in regards to battle passes, right? And this was my rant a year or 2 years ago when Overwatch did this. If I purchase a battle pass, if you're a good shop, you are making sure that that battle pass allows me to, if I earn through the entire battle pass, then I earn enough to get my next battle pass free. That's the consumer market that you essentially want. What I don't really know is that currently the way that it is? And they've made some changes recently also in regards to sort of the base battle pass versus the bonus reward pass that has additional content in it as well to get additional value. So Fortnite's playing a little bit with their monetization model and really trying to, I think, kind of grind or like tighten the gears a little bit more to try and get more out of individuals. And I think that that's a
So
really interesting move.
so I went to the actual Epic website, Fortnite.com, to read this announcement, and there's some other sneaky things happening in here. I don't
Oh,
know if you've seen this yet, Justin. So uh, they start out by saying that following an announcement that all passes in Fortnite will progress simultaneously, that Fortnite Crew will involve. Now, Crew is their monthly subscription for $11.99. You get the Battle Royale Pass, 1,000 V-Bucks, monthly crew pack outfits, and bonus benefits later on, in Rocket League's Rocket Pass Premium. However, starting December 1st, you'll also get the Music Pass and the Lego Pass, but it says when any new passes arrive, they'll also be added to your Fortnite Crew subscription, including the new Fortnite OG Pass. So the Fortnite OG
oh,
Chapter 1 Season 1 will have its own battle pass if you do not play if you do not purchase Crew. So see what they're doing here. Let's be real about this. There's going to be a battle pass for
yep.
the current season. Then there's and if you buy that, if you buy Crew, only if you buy Crew will you get the Lego and the Music Pass together. But also, if you don't do that, you will have to buy the Battle Pass for OG and the regular season. And both of those will cost 1,000 V-Bucks, which 1,000 V-Bucks, by the way, I went and looked, is $8.99 US. All right.
Yeah.
So how often is there a new season? How often is there a new battle pass? Are we like 5 times a year? Six
Yeah,
times a year?
you're running on average about every 90 days, so every 3 months, give or take, is a new battle pass.
So every 3 months. So that's 4 times a year, unless there's a 30-day season too, which
Correct.
which they're going to now. So you're going to have 5 a year. So
Yep.
that is $40, or no, $45 just for the battle pass. Or you could pay $12 a month and get all of it, including extra skins and all that stuff. But hold up. They also sneak this in. The way Fortnite Crew subscription currently works is that when the Battle Pass goes live, you can unlock and claim premium rewards from the pass as long as it's live, even if you unsubscribe. However,
Hmm.
that will only pertain starting December 1st to currently subscribed crew members.
Interesting.
If you ever let that lapse, you will be now considered a new subscriber and you will have new rules. And the new rule is that premium rewards on the Battle Pass are only available if you are an active Fortnite Crew subscription.
Hmm.
Only if
Did
you have the Battle Pass. So, in other words, let's put it in layman's terms. Before you could buy Crew, you could get the Battle Pass. You could cancel Crew the next day, and you would keep the Battle Pass premium until the end of that season.
Yeah.
For new subscribers starting in 2 weeks, if you cancel that battle pass while the battle or if you cancel crew while the battle pass is going on, it will cancel your battle pass.
Yeah.
And if you want the premium rewards, you'll have to buy it again.
Yeah.
So
So people
this is
basically
how
found a
they're
loophole.
keeping this is how they're keeping people in the locked in.
Yep. 100%. Right.
Yep.
This is the grandfather clause, essentially, right? In regards to
It
the
says
consumerism.
if you purchase this separate, like if you purchase the battle pass separate from crew, it'll last as long as,
Yeah.
or Lego pass or whatever. It'll all work. So, but this is from the documentation. An active Fortnite crew subscription is required to unlock and claim premium rewards on Music Pass and Lego Pass for both new and existing subscribers, as well as any other passes added in the future. Notice that language. Any other passes added in the future.
Yeah. But isn't Fortnite Crew like it's a monthly cost though, isn't it?
$12 a month.
Yeah.
So what you're
So
getting for that now is access to the battle pass when it automatically re-ups when it's time. You're getting 1,000 V-Bucks every month, an exclusive skin. You're getting exclusive edits for that skin. Like over time, you get different colors and things, and you're getting their rocket pass. But
hmm.
with the new scheme starting December 1, it's going to be all of that plus Lego Pass and Music Pass Premium and OG
Yeah,
Pass when it comes out.
this a little bit reminds me of sort of like Xbox's recent move to like here's
Uh-huh.
our new subscription. You're like, I what? Okay, what are you trying to do here? Right? And like all of those things are like all of those decisions, although positioned as consumer friendly, are not necessarily as consumer friendly as you might think they are. Right. And what
Nope.
Marty's doing is reading between the lines and reading the details and really getting the little fun, the nitty gritty into it to understand why. And if a business is making those sort of changes, P.S., there's a very valid reason that they're doing it. Right? What is the business reason that you're seeing Fortnite do this or Xbox? So,
Mm-hmm.
huh, interesting
Absolutely.
stuff.
It is good. It is interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if they're able to keep up with with what they're about to have to juggle with all this
Yeah,
multiple path stuff. And really, it's going to be interesting to see what the community's take on it is. Are we just like
100%.
I'm a crew member. I'll be honest. I do the crew.
Yep.
I don't really care for the crew skins. Honestly, a lot of times they're just boring.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm going to get this added value now, like I was thinking of canceling, I'm probably not now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the extra V-Bucks every month and the access to the battle pass helps. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Anyway, I
So
mean, you're looking.
while you were all talking Fortnite, I was thinking that the current anime that I'm watching, which is in season 2, would be a good crossover with this game. Have you ever heard of Sword Art Online?
No.
I've heard that title.
Okay, it's like a 10 or 15 year old anime at this point. I think it's the premise is it's a VR game where, but the end of that season, the basically the core of the world is released as open source, so other people can make copies and change it and do what they want with it. And what one group did is they turned it into a shooter game called Gun Gale Online, and it had a season 1, really, back when Sword Art Online was still running, and season 2 is running this year, and just this bunch of anime people of different shapes and sizes running around. They basically designed the game based on Fortnite anyway.
I was
So
going to say
having
that's
that
like
as
a Fortnite lobby.
having this as a crossover with Fortnite cross Gun Gale Online is a no brainer. So someone do
Yeah.
that.
It's kind of like this video I saw the other day of a guy who owns like a donut truck, like like a food truck, drives around and he opened his shutter like to start selling, and there outside his window there were furries, Mormon missionaries, and like old people, and he's like, This is like a Fortnite lobby. That was the first thing he said. So anyway, let's talk.
Mikey Burgett says, Sword Art Online is a classic. I understand that reference.
Let's talk releases and updates to round out our news here. Out now, Life is Strange Double Exposure. That's digital only for right now. Physical version will be available January 28th if you're willing to wait on that. This is
Yeah.
brand new
Blanco
Life
is waiting.
Strange. Yep, Blanco. I knew he would. Locomotive, which was shown off at one of the indie presentations. This is a
3 years ago.
yeah, an old school like point and click noir adventure on a train. You can check that out now. Stray, as Justin, well, we mentioned it before the show actually, but he's going to talk about it later. Stray is out now on Nintendo Switch, and in a shadow drop from Nintendo tonight, Donkey Kong Land for Game Boy is now available via NSO. This is the original Donkey Kong Country for Super Nintendo, but it has
Game Boy. Oh, yeah.
well, it has, yeah, it's kind of a version of that for the Game Boy, but it actually has some different locales and different levels than the original is. So it's not a straight port,
Yeah.
but they were able to do what they could with it.
It's
to
highly
make
based
Donkey
on.
Kong. Yeah,
I
highly based on.
played
That's
the bejeebus out of that game when I had my Game
did
Boy.
you have the banana yellow cartridge?
Sure did.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was the big so for the kids out there, and I'm specifically talking to Mecha Dragon. This is the selling point that they used to have, that they would have different colored cartridges, and that would make you want to buy the game. Killer Instinct was black, Maximum Carnage was red, Donkey
Zelda
Kong
was gold.
Zelda was gold, and then they had the Donkey Kong yellow cartridge that they had, or Donkey Kong Land for Game Boy.
It was
Anyway,
a simpler time.
it was no DLC, but we had colored cartridges.
I will say for both Locomotive and Stray, we have first looks out on our channel right now. So if
We
you
do.
want to take a look at that.
We absolutely do. So that's our news. Let's get straight to our question of the week.
Do we?
So this is again Thanksgiving week, or we're going into Thanksgiving week here in America, and so I thought we would move away from a video game question this week to more of a family question. As we move into the holidays, what is your favorite holiday tradition? It could either be something your family did while you were growing up, or something you do now with your own family. So we got a few responses to this. Rizzle29 says, having an Italian family, my favorite tradition is the seven fishes. We end up having way more on Xmas Eve. I am not familiar with what that is.
Either do am I.
Are any of y'all?
I've heard of it before, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't speak well into it to be able to say I know what it means exactly.
So the Feast of the Seven Fishes. I'm looking. This is Wikipedia, not me. The Feast of the Seven Fishes is an Italian-American celebration of Christmas Eve with dishes of fish and other seafood. It is not a feast in the sense of a holiday, but rather a grand meal. Christmas Eve is a vigil or fasting day, and the abundance of seafood reflects the observance of abstinence from meat until the feast of Christmas Day itself. So there you go.
That's cool.
It's interesting. I mean, like, I've never thought about that. And as a coming from a family where we didn't eat seafood, that would be a difficult meal. Jason says the one thing we do every year is to go get fish and chips from the chippy and drive around looking at all the houses lit up. The kids love it. That must be Jason Frost.
Yeah, I would suspect.
Absolutely. Which is, I remember my parents taking me to look at Christmas lights. And as a kid, like, especially as a teenager, like, I was like, why are we doing this? But now I wish I could go do it again. David Bileka says, my favorite holiday tradition is getting to act like a kid with my two boys on Christmas morning, play board games, video games, and open presents all day. Seeing their faces and having fun with them during Thanksgiving and Christmas is a must and what I look forward to every year. Cool. Darth Platypus says, we have Wigala. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing this. Wigala. It's a Polish Christmas Eve meal with my parents, my wife, kids, and my sister's family. We all get together, and now the kids do a gift exchange. And we actually had one late entry here from Mecha Dragon. He said, my family loves celebrating New Year's, so we usually come together as a family, watch the ball drop together. We'll make wishes on grapes and hug and pop champagne. It's the only actual holiday We all celebrate as a family nowadays, to be honest.
Hmm.
I I'm gonna okay, back to the Google machine. Um, I've got to figure out what wishes on grapes are. Oh, here we go. Uh, on New Year's, families usually gather to enjoy a delicious dinner, toast, and eat 12 grapes. For each grape, the person makes a wish. Although the tradition is very popular in Mexico and other places in Latin America, it is a tradition that comes from Spain. Oh, okay. That's
Hmm.
kind of cool.
The more you know.
Right? Right. I feel like that. So tell us, guys, what's your favorite holiday tradition?
Hmm. Oh man. We don't have like a lot of like set family traditions for us. I would say definitely the Christmas lights is sort of a pretty
Okay.
awesome one that we do every kind of year. We always the kids always get pajamas on Christmas Eve. That's always kind of a fun one as well that we kind of abide to. But those are sort of like I don't know. And then just like the casualness and just being um
Mm,
just more of a down day, relaxed.
yeah.
Our tradition was always tough because we were always when the kids were younger, we come from divorced families, so we were always kind of moving around. Like our tradition for Christmas was that we were in a car driving to everybody else's house for Christmas. And then over the last several years, we've sort of taken that back and we're like, no, we're not doing that anymore.
No, I get
And
that.
so
Yeah.
it's kind of like redefining and refiguring out what our own traditions are around that. And so that's an exciting space to be in right now.
Yeah. Can we I just want to sit in the pocket of that for a minute because I feel like, there's some people who listen to us and they're like, "Hi, I like the parenting talk."
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
we talk for just a minute about how hard it is as parents to do the whole like we have to be at both families thing?
Yeah, that's the worst. Like
It like,
it is 100%. And even now, right? Like we're arranging like Jody's dad's coming down next weekend, then we're gonna host them here
mhm,
for Christmas, and then like 2 weeks later, we're gonna go no, then we're gonna go up to my we're gonna celebrate here on the 25th, and then the 26th, we're heading to Airdrie, which is like 2.5 hours north to see my mom
yep,
and family, and then they want us there for a couple days, and then we're gonna head over to Jody's mom a couple days later, like, and then back to Lethbridge. Like, you just spend the time in the car,
it was,
and
yeah, there's a lot of driving and there's a lot of stress
yep,
because of traffic and
yep,
having to transport stuff, especially. I think it's harder the younger your kids are,
yep.
but then it's also difficult, like at the age my kids are right now, like 17 and 16, when it's like we just want to be at our house.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
100%. Like when the kids were younger, you're packing more, right?
mhm.
Like you're packing the crib, you're packing extra
Oh,
change of
yeah,
clothes, you're packing all the gifts, right? That you're also bringing like you're jam the car, right? And you're bringing probably food also. And you're not sleeping comfortably. You're in some shit bed, right? Sorry, Jesse. Yeah, he's gonna go find that. And
I mean,
like you're
there is,
just
it's true, it's true.
you're just uncomfortable, right? And then they're like, "Hey, by the way, I remember one year Jody's dad was like, "Hey, we got the Rylan a Christmas present." Like, awesome, so excited. It was a Barbie dream house. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Are
How are we going to get
you?
this back to our
How are
house?
you, we drove a Volkswagen Jetta with two children. Like, what are you doing with her? Like, why would you do this?" Right? And the kids just like, and the kids at that age, once they get their toys, they just want to open up, play with toys. And you're like, you can't open up and play with toys because we have to go to the next place, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not a good experience.
one of my wife's sisters lives in Texas. And
Mm,
so like if there's a big gift at Christmas, it's like, hey, know that you really like that, but you're gonna have to wait till we drive 12 hours home
yeah.
to open it. So yeah. So one of the hardest things that I think that I've had to do as a parent is have the we're gonna make our own traditions talk.
Yeah.
And so I want to say this on the front end, like that was a lot easier talk to have with my wife's parents than it was with my
Mm.
mom because we had this big tradition that we would always have that we had for several years. And y'all, I know this is going to cause jokes, but I can't. There's only like my wife named this. All right, when we got because we were married like 7 years before we had or 5 years before we had kids. And so every Christmas Eve, while my grandmother was still alive and my dad was still alive, they would invite everybody over to either her house or our house. And this came from when I was a very little child. Like the Christmas Eve would be at my grandmother's house with my dad and all his siblings and all their kids. And everybody would gather, and there was the menu was the same thing every year. My grandmother would make sausage and biscuits,
Mm.
and she made homemade biscuits, so and they're wonderful. And so everybody would eat sausage and biscuits, and the adults would sit around and talk and drink coffee while the kids were dying in the living room waiting to open presents, right?
Yeah.
And so from there, like as the families grew and we couldn't get together, all in one space anymore, we lived right next to my grandmother, and so we would invite her down and she would make the biscuits and everything. And but everything that we ate had sausage in it. So my wife came
Okay.
to call it the sausage meal. Like there was like sausage and biscuits and a sausage cheese ball and sausage cheese balls and
Wow.
like the like kielbasa sausage. I don't know why this happened. It's not like I went, "Oh, I love this," or because I was an only child, they would do whatever I want. But I remember when we had kids, they would want they would want us to be there on Christmas Eve.
Hmm.
And that's fine when your kids are like, hey, you're 1 years old or you're 2 years old. But when my kids got to be about 4, 5, 6, I was like, my wife was like, we're going to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And by the way, this is advice that I would give anybody listening to this that needs to have this conversation. You don't need to, that conversation does not need to come from your spouse to the in-law. It needs to come from
Yeah.
the child to your parents. And I
Yeah.
remember having that conversation and breaking my mother's heart. Like, oh, you're not going to be here? You're not
Yeah.
going to be here? I'm like, no, mom, like all the fun things that you've done with me for all those years, we want to do them with our own kids now.
Yeah.
We want to make cookies. We want to leave
Yeah. There.
the stuff out for Santa. We want to scatter the reindeer food. We want to do all that. And you just have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you live with them, you just got to do that.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like I remember like having conversations with folk with like the families, right? And I remember people be like, "Sure, you're driving all over with people, and one of these years you're just gonna have to make the decision that you're gonna do your own tradition thing, and we're gonna support it." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool, 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 cool." And so when we finally were like, "Yeah, we're doing our own thing," you'd hear this like a, "Oh, oh, are you now?" And it was like, "Hold on a second, like." We talked
Do
about
you know
this.
why?
Don't
Because
pull
here's
this
the
on me.
thing. When they're saying one of these days, we know that you're going to have to make a decision. You know what they're thinking? You're going to choose me. You're going to
Yeah,
choose
yeah,
all
right.
these things you've already
Mm-hmm.
had. You're going to
Yep.
choose your family, not their family.
Yep.
You're not going to choose your
I
family. You're going to
I
choose
I had
our
to,
us.
yeah, I had to deliver that to my mom actually recently. She's like, "Oh, well, you guys can come up on Christmas," and I was like, "No, no, we're not going to do that."
We didn't have to have this conversation with anybody because, where we live, my family lives 8 hours north, her family lives 8 hours south. We don't
And
travel for holidays. We have people come over, but we're the
yeah,
ones usually hosting.
and I think Jesse that you just pointed out something that's really important, and that is that there's an expectation that comes along with closeness.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Justin was just saying a few minutes ago, it's a couple hours away, and that's the thing. It was said, oh, it's just a couple hours.
And
Like
we
we had to whittle away at our time. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
I
we'll
don't
stay
like
till
driving
12.
20 minutes.
Yeah,
Two
yeah,
hours is
you're
a
fair.
lot.
We didn't experience the break or like the patterning like because we was just always being like Christmas Eve like here's what you do this like for 5 days. We didn't kind of experience that change until we moved to Ireland because we weren't going to be coming
Mm,
back and so all of a sudden you're like oh, this is what this feels like. Oh. Okay, this is kind of cool. So we had a couple Christmases like that where it's just us as a family, you FaceTime and ever and you do your grand. It's awesome. We came back to Canada in July, and so like instantly we all kind of fell back into the same trap again, right? Of here's the pattern, here's what you do, blah blah blah, which was great because we hadn't done it for years. And then COVID hit. And then we didn't do Christmas at all. And he was like, "Yep, okay, right. Yep. We're just
yeah.
doing this thing because we feel obligated to." right, in a way that doesn't feel great anymore. And so we should not do that.
Yeah. So, and I
Yeah.
mean, we're now at a point where it's like, okay, we can give you like a couple of days, right? But also
Yeah.
like if it's a like Aaron's sister, one of them lives next door to us. The
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
lives in Texas. And so we have to be like, okay, they're coming for this holiday. They're not going to come for both Thanksgiving and Christmas, but they're going to come for this holiday and they're going to have this many days with this side of the family. So she
Yeah.
really doesn't get to see them all year. So she's going to want to spend her time with them. So we need to be at home. But
Get,
also, we're also at the time now where it's like, hey, we've got like 2 Christmases left,
yeah.
right? Like while they're in
Yes.
our house.
Yep.
And so that's going to be, we're going to intentionally focus in on that time.
That was what we had said too. We're like, we don't have a lot of these left anymore. Let me
Yeah.
ask you this, and so I know we are way. If you are here to listen to us talk about Nintendo news, we are way off the beaten
Sorry,
path
but
right
no,
now.
this is, we're, hey, it's in our title,
Yeah,
dads.
dad's right. So let me ask you this question though, Marty, because you work at a church, right? You
Yeah.
support a church. Christmas is and so for full
Hmm.
transparency, my wife works at a church. She works as director of communications at a fairly large church here.
Yeah.
um, as you lead up to Christmas, there is a ton of support you're doing. There's more services, there's more effort, there's more work, right? And by the time Christmas finally hits, like it's an event and you're kind of done, right?
Yeah.
And like with our family, like we will serve at the church all the way up to Christmas Eve,
Hmm.
then have a candlelight service, and then Christmas Day we don't do anything. But by that time, like Jody is now kind of getting a couple of days off, and she's knackered, like she's
Uh-huh.
just done, right? And so it's sort of like also how do you protect that as well and guard that. So do you
Yeah.
experience that as well?
So I've served 2 churches in my time as a full-time pastor, and I can tell you that both of those have been extremely different. But both of them have been of a size. Like the last church I served was about 225 um, at its height. The one that I'm at now, we're about 450. We do not do multiple services. We
Mm,
don't do that. And I would say we live in a rural area, so a lot of people go away for Christmas,
okay.
but we also have a number of people who come home. Like, it's like a homecoming. But we don't overload people at Christmas for that reason. And I think that we have a pretty healthy view of that. Now, if Christmas Day is on a Sunday, that's a like you can't take that off.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
like so there's been a lot of times that I've not been with my family on Christmas for that
Mm,
reason. But it's never been one of those things where it's like we have 12 Christmas services and you have to be at 4 or 5 of them. And like we're going to do communion and candlelight stuff this year, but it's going to be on the 22nd. So that's going to be it's pretty healthy.
yeah.
With Wednesday being the 25th. And what we'll do actually is with I usually save up my vacation time unless I've got something going on like I did last year where we went out west. We kind of shut the church kind of shuts down
Nice.
after that Sunday morning service. So the 22nd this year, we'll do our Sunday morning service. We won't have anything on Wednesday because it's Christmas. On the 29th, I already know I'm up to preach. So that's what I'm
Yeah, yeah.
doing. And then on the 31st, we're not having, or first, we're not having anything because it's New Year's Day. I will take both of those weeks completely off.
Nice.
So I have the time. I'm going to take it off there. Have I been in situations where I haven't had that time? Yes.
Yeah.
So it can be hectic. Our last church always had candlelight communion on
Mm,
Christmas Eve. Not late,
hmm.
but it's dark. It's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Go home, do your thing. And I do remember one year where Christmas fell on a Sunday, and when it does here, our schedule is always a little bit abbreviated. Like, hey, we're not going to do Bible study that morning classes, but we are going to do a service, but it's going to start later to give you time with family,
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So I feel like it's pretty balanced, but I totally get it. I have friends who work in bigger churches,
Yeah.
and they're just spent by the time. And
Yeah.
I get this is not the time or place to discuss this, but I will say this. My commentary on it is I get it and I don't get it at the
Mm,
same time. Like, like I understand it. why it has to happen, but I don't like it. I don't understand it at the same time. So,
Yeah, that's fair.
but yeah, I mean, there's it's such a like I don't think enough people talk about how much of a juggling act it is. Like I think that we see the frustration of the juggling act, but we don't see
Yeah.
like the talk about how you kind of have to juggle your family. And ultimately, why do we do that? Because I think most people, and I'm gonna say like giving people the benefit of the doubt, most people want to make everybody happy at Christmas and want
Yep.
to be with everybody. And it's just impossible. Like it is the undoable task.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna feel left out. Um,
And ultimately, in the end, you're
it's
just sort
just
of like making, you're kind of giving half to everyone. So you ultimately just
yes.
feel like you're giving nothing, right? And you're in
Yeah.
the end not happy and content. And yeah, there's so many like I was talking, Jody and I were talking about yesterday, and she's like, "Why do I not like Christmas very much?" And I was like, "Well, it's peak consumerism. Every advertisement you're seeing is showing you that what you should be doing, should be purchasing. They're all trying to get your money. It's completely against really what the meaning of Christmas is, right? Christmas is, right? The core religion component of it. It is a holiday season that is trifled with high hopes and low expectations, or sorry,
Wow. Yeah.
you're
You're
always
hitting it on the head, man.
you're always failing in some way, right? And then you are also always, if you're like us traveling, you're in uncomfortable places, you're packing up things.
I
You're never off. You're always on, right? And you're trying to juggle with our family because we're divorced families. We try and create equity. So we're going to spend the exact same amount of time at everywhere else the best way that we can. So no one
yeah.
can say that this was unfair, right?
And you just brought a whole other wrinkle into it. Like how do you deal with divorced families? How do you deal with all that? I mean, it's supposed to be such a season of joy, and there's so many people who don't feel joy because of all of those things. Like I feel like your wife and my wife are would like be like, oh, I get it. I completely understand it.
Yeah.
Because Erin said that a few years ago. She was like, I don't like Christmas. I don't like what Christmas has become.
Yeah, we've had open kind of conversations recently.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't like Christmas. And I was like, I don't like Christmas because I see what Christmas does to
Yeah.
you, to the stress, right? And then like Jody is very much kind of our planner and our coordinator in our family, right? So
Yeah.
she's the one quarterbacking like who are we going to with which mom and what are we doing and are they happy and everything kind of like runs through her,
Yeah.
right? Like she's like if someone like my mom will be like, "So what time are you guys coming?" I'm like, "Can I transfer you to my supervisor?" Right? So just to
It's a
validate, sort
conversation
of,
for the manager.
yeah, that's above my pay grade.
No, I get
J
it because I mean, I've had to do the same thing. Like,
yeah,
okay, let me check our calendar because the first, like, y'all from September through December, the second weekend of December, it's Nutcracker season here.
yep,
Like, my
All right.
daughter's at dance every Saturday. Every Saturday. Do you want to see us? You're going to have to come to us, or we're going to have to come there on Friday. I mean, and now it used to be that we had days where she didn't have dance class. She now has dance class Monday through Saturday.
yeah,
And that's a choice we've made. But you know what? It's a choice that she wants to do. We want to support her in that. And you know, there has to be give and take. And that's one of the things that I would say that around the holiday season, remember give and take. Remember, you may need to like back off on some things to do the other. So that's a long way around to talk about Justin's tradition. And Jesse, do you have any traditions, the holiday
Um,
tradition?
a few. Like for Thanksgiving, I'm normally in charge of the desserts. I do them on Wednesday, and then I stay the hell away from the kitchen on Thursday. I'm like, I'm not going to be in your way. You do what you need to do. She normally asks the kids to prepare a side to come in, but
Yeah,
yeah, and yeah, we don't. As I said earlier, we don't go anywhere. We're the one we normally host, and if the kids can make it, great. If not, we understand. We the the our youngest. You see, Matthew lives here, so he's obviously going to be here. The youngest one lives 15-minute, 20-minute drive away. She plans on making it. And she's the one that her and her boyfriend usually has the 2 Thanksgiving Day because she goes to our house and then she goes to her boyfriend's parents' house. But apparently they're traveling this year, so we're their only Thanksgiving. So that makes it easier on them as well.
Nice.
And then my oldest is still on the fence of whether she's even able to make it up. But
Okay.
then we kind of have something. You're gonna say something?
I was going to say, just sort of to connect with the traveling and sort of interconnected back to the conversation we were having earlier. We got to a point earlier this year that Jody's like, what if we just go away to like Mexico for Christmas just to avoid all of these
Well,
conversations?
we're
And I
almost
was
doing
like,
that.
not a horrible
Yeah.
idea.
Mm-mm.
We are doing a trip to Mexico, but we'll be back by the 24th.
There
Okay.
you go.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
We normally set up a Christmas tree in our living room, but earlier
Mm.
this year we got new furniture, which takes up the majority of the space. We realized last week there's no room for a tree.
Oh no.
So what we think we're going to do, we're going to move the table off to the side in our dining area and set up a tree in the dining area.
okay.
And then if we do have, we very rarely eat in the kitchen anyway, but we do if we have friends and family over. But if in that time, if we have friends and family over, we'll probably be just eat in the living room instead.
Nice.
So we have a couple of holiday traditions. Number one is something that has just happened over the last few years last 12 years since living here is we have like a Christmas movie marathon on Christmas Eve. And it's the same movies pretty much every year. There's on Christmas Eve day, into the night. There's going to be some time that Die Hard is going to be watched. We're going to have Elf. We're going to have National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. We're going to end with A Christmas Story. And that's like
Nice.
Christmas Story is kind
But
of like
Gremlins,
yeah, well, we did Gremlins last year leading up to Christmas because it is a Christmas movie. But also last year we added the new Christmas Story movie, A Christmas Story Christmas. Not the sequel,
Mm-hmm.
not A Christmas Story 2. That's garbage. It's awful. But A Christmas Story Christmas is really good, especially if you love the original one. I know that there are some people who you either love it or you hate it. I get it, but that was the quintessential Christmas movie for us, for me growing up. Like I remember days being out of school and that playing constantly. There's several. The other is the on Christmas Eve we always make our own cookies. We always make and decorate our own cookies to leave out for Santa. Santa gets cookies every year at our house. And
Nice.
he's never not eaten the cookies. So, I mean, it's great. And then we started a tradition a few years ago. We haven't really kept up with it, but we did a tradition of 3 gifts for our kids. We're on a single income pretty much, and so we're 3 gifts, and grandmas and grandpas could handle some of the heavier gifts, some of the more expensive stuff. But the 3 gifts and Santa brought something too. But one of the things that I've really come to love about Christmas time in my family is that stockings were a main event in my
Mm.
wife's family, and so that has become like one of my favorite things that we do is the like the finding just the most random, funny things that make us say, "Oh, that makes me think of you," to go in the stocking. In fact, I told her like I think it was last year. I said, "I really, really love opening my stocking more than presents
That's
because I
awesome.
never know what I'm going to find in there." So yeah, it's and I get it's different structure, different folks. I'm not a huge Thanksgiving person. Number one, I don't like turkey. Only fried turkey. That's it. Got to have the fried turkey. But my father-in-law has already told me that for Christmas this year, he is making something that I sent him on a video, which is pulled ham.
Mm.
Like
That
you
sounds
smoke it
delicious.
for like 16 hours and it's like pulled pork barbecue. You shred it
Oh wow.
like like that. And
nice.
after you've marinated and everything, I will let you know how it is. It looks amazing. But I love talking about holiday traditions. I think every family does something different. And I just love hearing all the diversity
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. Before we move on, I wanted to quickly share this conversation that happened in our family group chat.
All right.
My son asked, "How many people are we going to have for Thanksgiving? 5?" And my response was, "Only, unless you can find a significant other by next week, because he's the only one not dating." And my wife responded with, "You can even bring an insignificant other."
Nice. That's awesome.
I love that. Well, good talk, guys. Good stuff. Let's talk about what we've been playing.
Do it.
All right. We've all been playing Mario and Luigi
Yeah.
Brothership, and
Let's just talk about that.
Jesse and I talked about it last week. So, Justin, here's what I would love to do is I would
Yeah.
love to get your thoughts on that, but also the other game that you've been playing. So, why don't you hit that one first, and then we'll all have a chat about Brothership.
Yeah, sure. So I played 30 minutes of Stray, which is out now on our YouTube channel. Check it out. I have no other experience with Stray other than I know it was popular and it came out on PlayStation 5. I would say my experience with it has been okay, right? Like I've enjoyed what I've played. I think this is a weird statement to say. I think the cat physics, the cat modeling, the cat just they have quintessentially captured all the wonderful mannerisms of a cat, all the little behaviors that they do, and so that's super adorable. I would say, one of the things that I kind of mentioned is that this is designed for PlayStation 5 running on a piece of hardware that's 8 years old. You can see it struggles at times. There's frame rate drops for sure. Everything sort of has a little bit of a Vaseline look around the fringes, and there's a little bit of pixelation that you can sort of notice. That doesn't pull away from my experience with it, which is I've been enjoying my experience with it. Um, and it's so far, right now I'm just exploring the city, and you're kind of jumping from place to place. I think, excuse me, it does a fairly good job for the 30 minutes I played, for the most part, of kind of like making sure you're on the right direction. Like, okay, there is only one way out of this room. There's only one place I can kind of go, and I need to look around for a little bit of figuring it out. And okay, the arrows are pointing me in the right direction. So I think it does well. Like it's fun. It's enjoyable. Again, I think my commentary would be, if you have somewhere else to play it, maybe not a bad idea, but it's salvageable and serviceable, and it just feels sort of like a cozy game that I do want to keep playing it. I didn't pick up Little Kitty Big City, so I can't really compare the two, if I'm quite honest. Although it sort of makes me sort of want to, if I'm being quite honest. Although they definitely feel very different games. But yeah, so far I'm digging it. But again, don't be shocked that the frames are a little bit not where you want them to be, but not bad at all.
Infredo says, "Sounds cat-tastic. Glad it wasn't a catastrophe."
Nice.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Justin, let's talk about
Yep.
your impression of Mario and Luigi Brothership.
It's
Because
a
last
me,
week
Mario. Oh
Well-
no! That's my impression of Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, that's not what I was talking about. Last week, Tim and Jesse and I talked extensively about this game and what we thought about it in light of the review that it was
Yep.
given
Yep.
by IGN. And we actually have a question this week from our YouTube channel from Let's Switch Games. And I thought that'd be a great place to talk about this too. He said,
Yep.
hello, I'm writing to you today to discuss the recent IGN review of the game Brothership. As you know, IGN gave the game a 5 out of 10, which was met with controversy. Interestingly, IGN Middle East gave the game a 9 out of 10. This suggests that the reviewers' personal preferences may have played a role in the score they gave to the game. I believe it's important to consider a reviewer's perspective when reading reviews. Not everyone will agree with every review, but it's important to take that into account when making decisions about whether or not to purchase a game. So, how do you feel about the game? Are you liking it?
Yeah, so I am 6.5 hours in. So, can we kind of talk spoiler-ish?
Up to that point.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so in regards to the game, I have completed the first major boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tethered to the lighthouse. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
right.
So you've
Right?
tethered the first lighthouse.
Yeah, tethered the first lighthouse. So that's how far
Well,
I've
the
made it.
lighthouse themselves don't tether to your chain, but they open up the
I get
paths to
what
the
you
next
you
sea.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're in the
You're
second sea.
yeah, exactly. Correct. Now I'm in that area, right? I there's a lot of backtracking
Mm-hmm.
at various times, which is sort of funny because I would be like I'd finish an area and then like things would open up and I was like, "Oh, I should go back and do that." And I was like, "Oh, I won't go any further. I'll literally go back to that island right now and do that." And then recognized as I was beginning to go through the game that like, oh no, 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 I'm going to go back to that island anyways. So I'm not going to deliberately take the time to go back to it. I know that I'm going to have a side quest adventure, go find this thing, blah blah blah. That's going to bring me
Yeah,
there, so I'm going to be more sparing about my time.
yeah. I did that mainly just to collect the little light bulb things
Yep. Yep.
to make the plugs. But as in terms of exploration, I agree. You'll be back there eventually anyway.
Yeah,
The
so I'm
game
like
gives you reasons to go back.
yeah, I do there was one task actually I thought was really cool, which was sort of like if you don't complete this now, like you can move forward in the main story, but like you can't go back and do this again. I thought that
Uh,
was sort of a really interesting, like, oh, okay, then I'm gonna go
Yeah, there's a
solve this
few of
now.
those, like three or four of them. Not
Yeah, I
most.
thought,
Most of them are. You can do this anytime, but
yeah,
if it is a time sensitive mission, it'll tell you.
I thought that was good. My one critique I have for it right now, for sure, little bit too talky, little bit too talky, and a little too many load screens. Everything is a load screen. And so
mhm.
that feels a little bit painful. Um, I think the combat is fun. I think I'm enjoying what I'm playing of it for sure. Boss battles are challenging, but not like brutal right now, at least. Um, yeah, overall, I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to I don't have any huge upset critiques. Like I said, I do find sometimes there's a little bit too much talking. Like I'm a let's get to it kind of person sometimes.
Yeah,
So
that doesn't get better later on.
yeah, I
So
wouldn't assume.
I how many Mario and Luigi games have you played?
I think like one
Okay, because I was gonna say
inside story, I
they're
think.
all at this level of verbiage.
Really? Maybe I'm just at a point where I'm like, I just want a little less talky, a little more boomy boomy, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I think those are valid criticisms, though. Like you
Thank
said,
you.
it's not what you're wanting right now.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
when I
well,
did
I
that
mean,
first hour play,
yeah.
the Wednesday night before launch, load times is what I noticed it and mentioned it.
I'm enjoying it and I do want to see it through, right? I am
Mhm.
concerned about like and I was thinking about it recently because I was playing obviously Thousand Year Door earlier this year and I was like, I think I'm enjoying this more than I'm enjoying Thousand Year Door.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure. Excuse me. I am concerned about the length of it. Like, it's supposed to be like 35, 40 hours. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I got 35 or 40 hours into this. Like, I do want to complete it. I would say the 6 hours I'm in right now that I'm at is not a byproduct of I don't enjoy it. It's an actual byproduct of just my time right now. I just don't have time committed to it. But like I was pretty impressed. Like the first week I finished, 6 hours into it, and I was like, oh,
Mhm.
that's a pretty good sign, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit further than you. I'm probably getting ready to do the second lighthouse.
Hmm.
So I've been in the colorful sea, I think is what it's called. And so I just unlocked a new current earlier before some friends came over for dinner. Um, I'm enjoying it. I will say that I had only played it in handheld because we got it while we were in New York.
Yeah.
Um, only played it in handheld until about a day ago, and I put it on the TV. It is absolutely gorgeous on a big screen. Like this
Mhm.
game, it looks like you're playing a cartoon.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I like the art style. I think the art style is
Love the
great.
art style.
Yeah.
But and there are some noticeable, like I've been able to notice a little bit of performance issue, but not so much that it made me hate the game.
Yeah.
Or drop it down in my ranking, but I'm still plugging away at it. I plan on putting quite a bit more time into it this weekend and next week since I have the week off from school. I've just had this week was four projects that had to be turned in by today.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten to play as much, but like I said, about 13 hours in. Um, I'm gonna go on record here saying that at about 13 hours in, I'm not a huge fan of the sailing aspect of it.
Mm. I
But
the sailing
if you,
aspect originally started giving me real anxiety. And what I mean by that is
yes,
you're on the stream
yeah, you don't want
and
to
then
miss things.
and then you're like this thing's coming up and I'm like but I'm literally in this quest right now
Yeah.
where I'm on another island
Yeah.
and
But
then
if you're on the right stream, it's at least a loop, and you'll
oh, I
get to it
know. I
eventually.
recognize that, but it was like way too slow. And then eventually I got the speed up the boat thing. And I
The
was like, that's
speed up
fine.
thing
Yeah.
helped things
That's a game changer. But
immensely.
initially I was like
Immensely.
literally like it was as if I was trying to like run to catch my cab, like all the way
Yeah.
back to that stupid
But
cannon. And I was like, come on.
so like, later on in the game, like you'll be in the fourth area, and if there's a reason why you want to go back to the first area, even with the speed boost, it's it's a wait, and then like
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's
Which
rough.
is, I mean, you could kind of like, scroll your social media or something while you're waiting. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So
uh,
what I normally, if I know I want to do a large travel and I know I have side quests to do, then, as long as your islands are tethered, you can go to them directly, and that doesn't. You can do that anywhere on the map. So you can trigger the travel, do your side quests, and by the time you're done, you'll either really be close or you'll be at your destination.
yeah,
So as
absolutely.
long as you plan ahead, it isn't as
Yeah.
bad. But
Yep.
if you have to do the long travel and sit there and wait for it, even with the fast travel, it's
And that's what
not.
they're wanting you to do. They're wanting you to save some of those side quests to do, but I kind of get
Yeah,
obsessed with them when they pop up,
Oh
and I
yeah.
have to do them right then and then
Yep.
move on with the story,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
If
But
you're
why I'm at 13 hours.
yeah, if you're a
some of those side
completionist, that's
quests
killer.
require a lot of back and forth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
at
I do
least
want
they
to
give you
say,
the golden pipe for that.
yeah,
The
yeah. It's really easy
the
to go
warp
back
thing.
home. Yeah, yeah. As long
I
as you have space
appreciated
to
that.
drop it, that was a great thing. Do one thing I do want to add, and I don't think they've required this at all in any previous game, but practice those bros moves.
Mm.
Some of those are brutal.
I know there is a fight that requires you to do them successfully, and if you
Oh,
can't do them, like you can fail once or twice, but if you fail three or
so
four times, it's a game
here's
over, and you got to start it over again.
what I found is that the ones with the shells are pretty forgiving. But
Yeah,
then after that, the hatch me if you can and Zapparator they're hard. They're
yeah,
difficult.
and then when you get the last row, those are rough too.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I have four bros moves for each character
Oh,
right
see, I
now.
only have
Okay.
two. So, all
Yeah,
right.
and
I
so
I
so go ahead.
no, you ahead, Jesse. I didn't mean to
Okay,
interrupt you.
yeah. So I'm about 36 hours in. I'm in the back. I'm in the part where the IGN reviewer didn't like. Apparently,
Mm.
I'm in the end game, uh, and yeah, we're getting into the uh, fetch questy backtracking thing like I was worried about. I
Mhm.
mentioned last week, but of course that's a staple of the series, so no big surprise that they're doing it. Uh,
Especially
but
Dream Team.
but the
Golly.
but the fact that almost all the islands, but most of the islands are tethered together. They're really easy to get to and easy to get out. That helps.
Hmm.
But when you got
Absolutely.
there's again the lighthouses, you can't just warp to. You got to navigate to it, and there's one other island that you have to navigate to you can't just shoot yourself into it. You'll learn about that one later.
I I do want
But
to kind of connect in with this question about like the IGN part of it, like the
Hmm.
reviews,
Yeah.
which is like, here's my statement, which is a review a reviewer's influence and opinion and bias will absolutely show up in a review, right? What they are putting on top of it is their own experience, for good or for bad, and how that references what they have just consumed. So their experience is what's going to drive their outcome and their
yeah,
commentary,
yeah.
right?
I don't know if he's played previous Mario and Luigi
He
games
has.
to know that that was
Ye-
coming or not, like I did.
yeah. So I would say like I I like people are like I can't believe that. Like there's no right way to do a review. A review is what it is to you and how you feel about it. So if Jesse writes a review about Picross and then Justin writes a review about Picross, they're probably going to be very different. Why? Because Jesse has a level of experience or history with it, and those aren't games that I like, right? And so what I heard when I listened to like Logan's content was like he had higher expectations for it. He has a very rich history of it. And so his level of playing through it and playing his other games had a lot of disappointment about where it could land and what it could be, right? And so yeah, absolutely. So I think it's really tough because and here's the thing. Logan's IGN review has got a lot of heat. And we're all allowed to have our opinions, right? And my opinion can be different than Marty's opinion, be different than Jesse's opinion, but that's just my opinion, right? My job is to look at a piece of art and tell you, and we're going to make the statement that the video games are art, to provide a rubric that essentially tells you how I value it based on what it does for me, right? How I feel about it, what emotions it stirs, the content of it, and present to you a score. And he did that. It just happens to be we're all in arms because they're like, it's a Nintendo game and you gave it a 5 out of 10. You can't do that. No, he can, because that's how it landed for him. And
He
then
did.
the other IGN gave it a 9 because that reviewer is how they interpreted it and how they fell upon it, right? So it's such an interesting, challenging situation regarding reviews. This is sort of like why I'm more an advocate of find an individual that your tastes more align with, and so I value their opinion a little bit differently, right? So like when I hear Marty talk about like a platformer 2D game, I'm perking up because I trust Marty's opinion because I know what he likes and his tastes. That's what defines it for me, right? And again, I saw the review as well, and some of the things I definitely agree with, right? For sure, there are pieces of a that I agree with in there as well. This kind of goes back all the way back to like, do reviews really matter? Like, and I don't mean that disparagingly, but do they really matter? Like, because we're all subjective consumers of art in our own way. So, did that 5 that you saw from Logan drive you to not purchase the game? Right? Or did it just become a confirmation bias for you?
No, I just bought it
This
even harder.
Yeah, right, yeah, right. And then what are you gonna be like? No, Logan, it's a 7, not a 5. You're a horrible reviewer. Like, why would we do that? Right? Because now we're just making people feel bad about their own decisions and how they interpret and feel about art. Like that doesn't logically make sense. This is sort of like, and if you've been with Nintendo Dad long enough, you know that like one of our biggest reviews that we ever did on the site was Super Mario Odyssey. We don't give review scores to games traditionally, right? We sometimes
No.
say, oh, this is sort of feeling like, right? We don't do that. The time that we did it, someone asked me like, what would you score Odyssey? And I was like, it's 11 out of 10. And the amount of heat that I got for that, but my statement was it's an 11 out of 10 because what does it matter? Right? Like I throw the number out there because to me it's an amazing game, and but like what but why do we quintessentially have to put the number on it to validate something? And so yeah, I got a ton of heat on that one. So
Yeah, but I mean, most of it for me was just joking.
yeah,
Like
for
it
sure.
exceeded I mean, to me, what you were saying is it's an excellent game.
Yep.
And,
But I needed to put a number on it to make it understood.
sure, sure. I get it. I get it. And so you might say that in some ways art is subjective. That's fine, but um it is funny that there were two different scores from the same organization, just depending on the region.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works with IGN.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, that's what we've been playing. Let's take a minute to turn on the community spotlight for some questions and updates.
Do it.
All right, guys, this is where we're just going to take just a minute to remind you Extra Life Weekend is coming up next weekend. I'll be playing 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit retro games uh, on November 28th from 10 to 10. And then Tim will be continuing to play games he's into at that time. We might fire up some NSO games or Jackbox during that time too if the participation's there. But really, what we want you to do is go to nintendodads.org. That's our website. Go to our Extra Life page in order to donate or join our team. Or you can go to extralife.org and search for team 6649. And if you can't remember that number, just type in Nintendo Dads. And there will be, and then you can pick from the people on the team that you would like to get or like to give to. My goal is $2,000. I was going to pop over there real quick while I was talking and see Tim's as well, so we could update you about that. But I know we have a $5,000 goal for the team as a whole. And so we would love for you to be able to help us out with that and watch along all weekend long. It'll be literally, 48 hours of Nintendo Dads. And don't forget, Justin will have his whatever he's going to do next week. He's going to have that. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be like, you don't even know what it's going to be.
Not a clue.
That to me is that's worth showing up for. Right? Tim's goal is 1,000. My goal is 2,000. So we would love for you to help us make that happen next weekend. I know that's Black Friday. I know that but hey, throw some of your Black Friday dollars our way. Help us out. Also, speaking of nintendodads.org, we want you to go over and check out our 2024 gift guide. We've posted our suggested items and a link to Nintendo's other gift ideas over there so that you can shop for that Nintendo fan in your life. And also, don't forget, you can support us and get yourself some swag by heading over to manscaped.com and using our code NINDADS. That's an INDADS. Here are some questions from the community from our Discord. Darth Platypus asks us this: if you could pull up stats about your gameplay over the course of your life, what stats would you like to see? For example, total time spent playing, the most played game of your life, the most played console of your life. Tim's answer, since he's not getting to be here, is basically what we get from Nintendo every year. I would love to see over my lifetime. Total games played, total hours, most games played in my lifetime, games I've spent the most time with, games I spent the most time in each year, my gaming trends, what year did I play the most in, and what my yearly playtime is. What about you guys? What would you like to see? Which stat would you most want to see?
I would want to see who did I play with the most and what did I have the most fun and joy in.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, good answer. What about you, Jesse?
And I think Tim covered everything that I could
Yeah.
think of.
I mean, I was just going to say, like, mine's just going to say Mega Man 2.
Nice.
It's like, what game did you play the most in your lifetime? Mega Man 2. I would like to see here's what I would like to see. I would like to see a breakdown by year, how many hours spent total, and I would like to also see a breakdown by console.
Hmm.
How many hours did I play the NES? How many hours did I play the Sega Genesis? How many hours did I play Xbox 360? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the others, it's okay. I mean, yeah, great question. That's a really cool question. Zablanc says you've gotten a lot of review codes over the years for games you had no previous interest in or maybe didn't even know existed. Which of those games became your favorite? Tim's answer is A Juggler's Tale. You control a marionette through a world controlled by the puppeteer, and you're trying to escape. I know my answer to this already. I've already mentioned this game on the show a lot, but Iconoclasts for the Switch. It's a Metroidvania style game that I think probably gets buried in the rubble, but it's got a great art style, super tight controls. It's a ton of fun and it's not super long. I didn't expect that game to be good when I first started it, but it grabbed hold of me and I finished it in a weekend.
Yeah, you've spoken very highly of that.
I love that game. What about you guys?
Oh,
Got to reach for your Switch.
I did, and I'm on my primary or my other Switch
Yeah,
now.
I had to look at in our Canva account and look at all the thumbnails I've made over the years. Uh, I think I think the game that jumped out at me is Meg's Monster. It's still like an RPG, kind of looks like a GBA era Pokemon type of game, but if I didn't get that as a review code, it would have completely missed my radar. I would have just saw it as,
Mm.
oh, this looks like a generic blah 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 blah, and just skipped it. But it was an interesting game where you are a monster protecting this little girl, and like the screenshots I'm looking at on the webpage, the girl has 96 points. They're not hit points, but like happiness points, maybe. It's you trying not to make her sad, and you've got like 100,000 hit points, so you are definitely more powerful than she is. So if you go down, then she gets sad, and you're trying to prevent that from happening. And you can do things to increase her happiness. Play with toys you pick up along the game. So it was an interesting little RPG type game, and it was high on my top 10 list that year.
Very cool.
I couldn't tell you right now if I'm very honest with you. I'm looking at my this is not my capture switch. This is sort of my games I really want to play switch. So I couldn't tell you what's on there. Yes, I don't really have one off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to come back to that one if that's all right. I have to look at the others. I'm sure
All
there's
right.
tons of games, right?
Next week, you'll have an answer.
Yeah.
All right. Last question here. Koopa Kid 80 says Black Friday shopping and heading to physical stores, yay or nay?
Nay. Nay.
Yeah, I unless there's something specific I'm looking for. Like a few years ago, I'm like, I want a new TV in my office. I want a new TV upstairs. So I hunted down Black Friday deals on TVs. But generally, I avoid shopping that day. Get away from the crowds.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't care for it.
nope.
What I
Nope.
do like to do though is the last few years is to go to Walmart after it all like kind of dissipated and see what's left and hope for some
Mm,
good deals.
yeah, that's fair.
I don't like being in the crowd. Like my wife a few years ago saw someone get slammed into a pallet full of video games. Like a woman gets
Mm,
like somebody grabbed the back of her head and slammed her head into it. And she
ooh,
was like, "Nope, not doing it."
yeah.
And so Tim says, "Yay." So he's the only one who likes it. He says, "We like going out shopping as a family at stores, but then we get annoyed with people and want to hide." And honestly, I don't remember what I did or what I got when we did do Black Friday, stand in line and shopping. But there is a follow-up question to this, and here it is. What is the best Black Friday deal you've ever gotten?
That's Black Friday deal
Mhm.
I've ever gotten. Ooh.
I don't again. It's been years since. Uh, Maybe when we were like the year we were looking for a new Christmas tree, I think we got a good deal on that. Again, we don't normally go out unless we're looking for something specific.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would sort of be very similar. Like I actually don't do Black Friday, haven't done Black Friday deals at all. Um, we would traditionally like what we would do is for a while there, for working for an American company, we had Black Friday off. And so the Canadians, like normally the malls wouldn't be that busy. So we would just go, Jody and I would just go Christmas shopping on Black Friday here. because the malls were kind of empty. So we used to always kind of do that. But Boxing Day was sort of where I'd more get a better deal. Like I remember got some really nice like a North Face jacket for like super cheap once that I was like, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Very practical. Like I'm never like, and I got a PlayStation 5 because I stood in line for 7 hours. Like,
Hmm.
no, that is not my life. I do not do that.
The only Black Friday item I can ever remember buying is I did stand for 1 year for a 2DS
Okay.
for my son, but because it was like $30 off or something like that, or
Mm,
$20 off, but it also came with a case.
okay.
And so I did stand in line for that and got that. That was it. I mean, like it
Nice.
wasn't really a big deal. Like I said, we normally would go out after,
Yeah.
to avoid the crowds because I just don't. And I think, we're kind of getting to a point where there's a lot of stores that just aren't doing the whole big in-store thing. It's
Yeah.
almost all online because people are doing all their shopping online.
Oh yeah, like listen, I've been getting beat up via Amazon the last couple of days, right? Like I just about bought a new thermostat and I'm like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing
Yeah,
this?
yeah. Why am I
Right.
buying this?
Yeah.
We actually have had one more question come in from our live chat during the show.
Yeah.
Michael Burgett asked this, and Justin, I'm gonna this is like a Justin Masson question if I've ever seen one, and here it is.
Okay.
What was Nintendo missing in 2024?
I think Nintendo was missing a clear transition to the Nintendo Switch 2.
Yep, I 100% agree. I am at a point now in like my thoughts about Switch 2 is that there was a 2024 release date for that slipped at some point when we started hearing about, oh, it's going to be next year, or oh, it's been pushed back. It's kind of clear that there was a break point this year and that it's had to change.
Yeah, I definitely think like this is this was very much sort of going out quietly kind of component of it. They still
Hmm.
had some amazing games this year. There's a lot of great things to play, but the energy, the fever, the pitch, you can even like I mean, when was the last Nintendo Direct we had? It was June,
No
right?
September
Like
Direct this year.
there was no September Direct, right? There like you can like the kind of the cadence is changing. I think that what they missed was a level of hype and excitement that but I also don't blame them because I've said to you before, like you're not announcing it before Black Friday or you're not announcing it before sales for the holiday season. They're just going to murder your system, right?
Hmm.
Um, I think, yeah, that segue between the two, I think that transition is really what they missed.
Yep.
Now,
Jesse.
I believe their first year of Switch 2 is going to be an absolute banger.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Jesse, you got any thoughts on that?
yeah. Well, yeah. We mentioned earlier in the episode that Nintendo is saving their big guns for the new successor. Likely next year.
Yeah.
So we knew that this year was going to be a slow year. It ended up having some more games than we thought still, but they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
weren't Nintendo first party games. It was a lot of third party stuff. I think if it wasn't for Echoes of Wisdom to fill that Zelda slot, we this probably might have been the year we got the rumored Wind Waker Twilight Princess remake.
Yeah.
But again, Echoes of Wisdom filled that slot, so those
Yeah.
games
Yeah.
weren't
Yeah.
needed this year. Maybe
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah, the fact the first half of the year was so stacked with remakes was sort of like that to me was a sign that we were probably bound for Switch 2. And I think probably somewhere around, I suspect March, they made the decision that they were not going to be able to bring Switch 2 into 2025 or 2024, made the decision to push. And so that's why all of a sudden June when they launched the direct with like Jamboree Echoes and
Yeah.
Brothership, you're like, oh wait, what? Like we were all anticipating just remakes. So I think that was an indicator that they had an adjustment to make, and they were able to
Yeah.
support that.
I have a feeling, the reason for the delay is likely twofold. One, they didn't have the software ready. They want to make sure they have software geared up in queue for at least the first 3 months, and they want to make sure they can manufacture enough units to hopefully not have to deal with scalpers.
Yeah, and the big thing that we heard, I think, earlier today was that there's rumor right now that they have a really healthy surplus, which should make getting the Switch 2 hopefully an easier process, right? So,
Hopefully,
yeah.
hopefully.
I think it's interesting already how much has already began to trickle out, right? I think like the president's commentary recently that like, hey, it's backwards compatible, that was a really big deal. That was a really big deal of a comment that had to be said. And I think like you're already starting to take away some of the mystery around it, right? Okay, so we do know that it's backwards compatible. So in theory, it's probably got a port for a cartridge. So likely maybe they're keeping the same form factor cartridge. Okay, well hold on a second. Then a lot of the games that are backwards compatible potentially required Joy-Cons or motion with some of the games, right? So like you start to put the pieces together that you're like, I don't think we're that far off. And then commentary is along lines of like, we look at it more like as a successor or like a next level of that system, not a brand new from the ground up, right? So a lot of like between the lines commentary has already been provided about the Switch that I think when we finally do see it, we'll be like, oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Good commentary. Well, guys, that is episode 504 of Nintendo Dads. We want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight and hearing about everything going on this week. As we close out the show, we want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Dave Ernsberger, Jacqueline Amira, and our other 100 plus patrons. You keep the lights on over here at Nintendo Dads HQ, and we love you, and we're so thankful for you. A special thanks also to 17 Twitch Prime subscribers, over 1,400 Twitch followers, and nearly 8,000 YouTube subscribers. We're getting on up there, guys. So thank you, everybody. We would not be here if it weren't for you. Check out our website, nintendodads.org, for Spotify podcast feeds of all of our shows, including our family of podcasts like Star Wars Dads and the Retro Logic family of podcasts. You can see our latest YouTube videos and tweets, links to all the social media, Patreon, Extra Life pages, and our merch. And please don't forget to head over and buy yourself treat yourself at manscaped.com. You can get 20% off your Manscaped order with free shipping by using the code NINDADS. That's NINDADS. So treat yourself or someone special to you for Christmas over at manscaped.com. Email us at nintendodads@gmail.com or call in and leave a voicemail, 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Big thanks to OC Remix for the music we use throughout the show. And a reminder, wherever you catch us in your podcatcher of choice, leave us a 5-star review and some comments. Helps push us up the charts. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. It just helps people know more about all the goodness here at Nintendo Dads. So guys, for me, for Jesse, for Justin, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Do you know who I am? Nintendo Dads.